freaked out today. Well, I didn't actually. I almost did, but it was, I think, being in the doctor's office and then just realizing that I didn't want to walk out of that office with like puffy tears and puffy eyes, knowing that there's other pregnant women there, and I didn't really want to, like, I didn't want the pity, but I also just, like, you know, it's such an amazing time. You don't want to like make people worried about what could happen to them and that kind of stuff. So I've been holding it in, but I think, I don't know how to tell it. Anyway, so today's Tuesday. I changed my top that I was wearing earlier. I went to see Dr. A today, and and I've also decided that I'm sticking with Dr. A and no more Dr. B. So, like you guys know, I've already started like bleeding, but it's not complete yet. So Dr. A, when I got to Dr. A's office, he says, okay, because it's still miscarrying, and he had wanted to do the swab. He's like, so I need to go in tomorrow to do a womb clean. I freaked out, you guys. I freaked out because my first pregnancy I had a womb clean. It was the most painful thing ever. But that was like, but he was like, no, we do it under general anesthetic and that kind of stuff. Because when I had my first pregnancy, I went to a government hospital. But there's something about being under anesthetic that really freaks me out. Like, not being conscious. Like, I think for me that's like the biggest freak out. Like, I have like this like massive freak out about where I'm gonna get buried, for instance. So like, you can't even pick anything scary. I like that. For me is probably one of the scariest things that I'll ever have to go through. I know many people go under anesthetic all the time, but and this is not like life-threatening, because I mean, if I woke up in the middle of it, it's not like, I mean, it's going to be painful, but I'm not going to like die or anything like that. It's not like they're going to be cutting through me or anything like that. Anyway, so I freaked out. Well, I kind of freaked out inside, and I was just like, yo. And then I was too scared to tell him that I'd taken the pills from Dr. B. So the whole ride home, I'm like, oh my god, I should have told him. What if the pills are going to like corrupt, pollute the sample or whatever? So I just called him now, and I spoke to him, and I asked him, and I told him that, look, we went to a second doctor and he prescribed the medication and I've taken it, but he said no, because it's still happening. There should be enough pieces of the placenta for them to still collect a big enough sample. And then I asked him, like, would he have had to do this if I hadn't taken the pills prior, and if I was still carrying the baby? And then he was like, no, so they probably still would have given me the pills, because what they do is they suction it out. So they probably would have given me the pills to like soften my womb and then suction the thing out, the sac out. So I feel so much better, because I thought maybe like I started regretting taking those pills, and I thought, what if my baby was still alive? But I know the baby's not alive. I knew the baby wasn't alive. I mean, we had confirmed that. But then I was like, yeah, you caused this anesthetic thing on yourself. If you'd just been patient, if you hadn't effed up, you wouldn't be in this situation. Okay, hey Gabsters, how you Gabsters doing? So today is Thursday the 12th, Please forgive me, I'm cooking something, so that noise in the background is actually me cooking. I actually need scissors to cut this thing off. So it's about 11:12 and it's Thursday today. Excuse me, and it's Thursday today. So yesterday, the last time you saw me, I was coming back from the doctor's office on Tuesday, and I was a crying, blathering idiot because I thought I had destroyed any chances of me getting the doctor getting a sample from my womb, and because by taking those pills. But just to let you know, the doctor said that there was more than enough samples still left over, and that actually I probably would have needed a womb scrape anyway, because there was so much left over still intact in my uterus, that he was like, actually it's a good that the womb scrape was needed for more than just the taking the sample, but actually I probably would have needed it anyway. So in future, should I ever have another miscarriage, God not willing, God forbid, I will not take those pills. I will just miscarry naturally, and just because my body knows how to do it, and my body does it very well for itself, so never again. And I also learned from that, this is a very weird start, but anyway, my head is a bit jumbled up. I also learned from that experience that, I mean, I had two doctors at the time. I had Dr. A and Dr. B. And as much as I told Dr. B what Dr. A was planning, I never went actually back to say to Dr. A, hey, actually I spoke to Dr. B and this is what Dr. B is saying, and what do you think? For a couple of reasons. One, I was like, do I make another appointment just to say hey, and then do I pay a full appointment for just like, even though we're not consulting? I know, but money talks, you guys, money talks. Secondly, it was a matter of just not wanting to intrude. Like, okay, it didn't also cross my mind, but also I think it didn't cross my mind because the idea of like picking up the phone and calling your doctor and having a conversation with them on the phone like seemed so foreign with me. Especially to say I spoke to a different doctor. There was just something weird about it. So, and I guess from the experience I learned that doctors decide on a treatment and then they tell you about that treatment, and it's up to you to go searching for alternatives and possibly, and not that they decide on a treatment, or sometimes they won't let you in on the full picture of what it is that they're planning. Like Dr. A was planning on the womb scrape, and then if that didn't work and there was nothing wrong with the chromosomes, then he would do the fibroids. So it was like a step by step, but he didn't, it's not necessarily that doctors will let you in on the whole, like they're 10 steps ahead of thinking. So it's up to you to actually like push them and say, okay, what's the point of this? Why are you pushing me here? No. So that's what I actually learned from that process, is that it's very important to push your doctor to give you the whole picture and not just like this portion of it. And I understand maybe sometimes when you give the patient the full picture, it might be overwhelming for the patient. But sometimes when, especially when you're dealing with more than one doctor, it's important to understand how each doctor fits into the separate categories. So from that experience, that's what I learned. We got new bedding upstairs, which means it is a new day, it is a new dawn. Yes, it's the following day. I am feeling much better. I'm still a bit woozy from the anesthetic. But I also think it's probably from like sleeping a lot, because I mean, they wheeled me down to theater at around just after 2 going for 3, and then the next time I woke up it was around 5 o'clock. So yeah, so that's what I remember. But I'm sure I was out of theater for a while by the time like I was like up at the ward and things like that. So I don't think like it took like a whole 2 hours or whatever. So yeah, the experience was really actually like, when you guys saw me on Tuesday, I was freaking out. Like there's nothing that freaks me out more than like my fear of death. Like I have such a fear of death, like it's ridiculous. Like I've actually decided that I'm getting buried in a mausoleum where I can, if like, should I be alive, I can like stand up and like walk around and like call somebody. like the coffin and being in confined spaces, like that freaks me out so much. So the idea of like going under really freaked me out, like to no end. It freaked me out. So yeah, it was, for me, that was extremely scary. I even said to the doctor, can I be awake at least for this thing? And the doctor's like, no, you have to be under like completely general anesthetic. I was like, I wanted like a spinal, you know, but no, he was like full anesthetic block, and it went well. So I was in Sunninghill Hospital, and I would just like to say to everyone that worked at Sunninghill Hospital on the 11th of July, Wednesday the 11th of July 2018, at the geranium ward, thank you so much. You were all amazing. Like, everybody was amazing. I'll give a shout out to a few people. I didn't get everyone's names, obviously, and I'm not going to mention my doctor's name because he's still my current doctor's name, but I also told you that he's somebody else's, another YouTuber's doctor. So yeah, for privacy issues, I don't want to mention their names, and I didn't catch everyone's names there, but every single person that I came across yesterday was truly amazing. Like, when I got there, the doctor said come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. I was an add-on patient, so I wasn't scheduled for surgery at any point that day, so I was gonna come once the doctor was finished with all his day surgeries. So I got there at 8 a.m. I probably got my bed at around 9:10 or just after 9. I got my bed, I went up to the ward. I was there for an in and out procedure, so I didn't like pack anything or anything. And then Nelly, I saw her name tag, it was Nil Siwe, and she said, okay, this is, I asked her surname when I was recovering, when I was still under anesthesia, like I was coming back. I was in my bed in the ward, but I was still very groggy from the anesthetic. I remember asking her name, and she said it was Mbondo. So it's Nelsiwe Mbondo, who sort of did the general, like, getting me settled into the ward and sort of like just did the basics. I don't think she's a nurse there, but she just sort of like she looks after the room that I was in the ward in. I don't know if that helps. So she helped me fill out all the forms whenever there was forms needed or anything like that. She did that. So Nelsiwe Mbondo, girl, you're amazing. I remember when I was getting wheeled out to theater, we were waiting by the lift. So we're waiting by the lift. So this is me like lying, and over there's like a corridor, and I see her walking past, and she walks past and she saw me, and then she came back, she looked at me and she waved. And then she carried on doing what she was doing. She didn't have to do that, but I think she just saw like how scared I was, and she was just like, girl, you got this, you know. She was amazing. And then I got taken down to theater, and my anesthesiologist was amazing. She's an amazing woman. She got me settled in so nicely. She was like talking about Sans, you know, tiki. She's like, oh, you Swati. You must tell Sans that we need more albums and things like that, like just very like casual. And I told her, I said, you know, this is my worst nightmare. And the doctor, so I told my doctor that going under anesthesia was my worst nightmare. And then the anesthesiologist came through, and the doctor's like, well, she's your worst nightmare. And I was like, and she's like, why am I your worst nightmare? And I'm like, oh my god. But she took it very well, and we were laughing about it. She was amazing. She's actually an amazing woman. I don't know what her name is. Maybe if I ever get the receipts from the invoices from her, I can tell you what her name was. But she was really amazing woman. And then when I was in theater, I think she said she is the head surgeon nurse, or she's the surgeon's head nurse or something like that. Yeah, she's the surgeon's head nurse or something like that. Togozani. And I remember the name because it was a boy's name, and I'm always like, oh, you're a woman, but you have a boy's name. So she was really amazing. But every single person that walked that ward that day was really amazing. I remember this one woman came to take my BP, and it was low obviously yesterday because of like I was still miscarrying and things like that. And I don't know what it was, like I don't know what she saw in my face. Maybe she just saw pure fear, and she's like, I promise you, you will get out of this, okay? Like you'll be back here, you'll be fine, you'll be amazing. I was like, wow, you know, like they didn't have to do that. I mean, they were really nice, just taking the BPs and things like that, and they were really, really, really amazing people. And I remember when I came out of theater, this is a very jumbled up story, but I'm telling you bits and pieces because I'm still also very groggy even right now, but I think that's just from like oversleeping. I remember when I came out of theater, I probably was still in the recovery room or just outside the theater where they put me when I first went down to theater, because they don't take you straight to the theater room. Well, I waited outside and then they wheeled me in. So I remember like waking up. I think that's when they were like bringing me back, and I remember like my womb, my uterus felt like it was on fire. It was burning, and I was like, it's so sore, it's so sore. And I don't know, but I'm assuming maybe like the one nurse thought, you know. And then I think the anesthesiologist or someone came and said, remember what I told you, pain is relative. Remember what I told you. And I don't know if the other person responded or they carried on, and they said pain is relative. And then they were like, oh, give her no. And I like, for me that's so like important, because actually like I'm going to be teaching this course in the sociology department, and it's a health course, and it's about how illness, pain, the body, all of those things you are not standard with everybody, that they're relative actually, and that how we understand and feel illness or even suffer through an illness is as much as a relatively contextual thing as it is like a medical thing. So you know, how different things impact the way that we feel, like our actual physical suffering is just as relative and as contextual as emotional suffering and things like that. So it was like in that moment, like I'm in theater and this one is like pain is relative, and I'm thinking about the course that I'm going to be teaching in a few months time, and I was just like, and then I passed out again. They gave me whatever it was that they gave me, and then I left yesterday evening I was discharged at around 6 o'clock. Came home. I didn't shower, did I? I came home. I had a little bit of when I got out of the hospital, when I was in my room, they delivered supper, and then I came home and I had a little bit of, I had the supper at the hospital. I came home, I had something to drink because I was really thirsty, and I just slept. So I slept, but I remember I watched Muvango. Actually, I slept with the TV on, because I remember Muvango playing in the background, which I love, absolutely love Muvango. But actually no, this new Muvango that they've got since Tandaza left, like really has me upset. Like this whole, I don't like how they've turned like the Chiefs family into like all of this infighting, and like Susan used to be such an amazing woman, like so strong and so like true to like being like an amazing person, and now she's like got like a very selfish, very sort of, I don't like the new Muvango characters. They're very self-centered. Yeah, they've changed them too much, especially like the Chiefs family. Anyway, back to the business at hand. Yeah, so the doctor said he got a big enough sample, that there was more than enough in my uterus to get a sample from, and he said it's a good thing that actually went in with the womb scrape because I needed it. So he said I must see him after the 23rd. I will probably, by the time you see these videos, I will probably have the results of that, and I'll just put them in the description box. I mean, obviously I'm not going to put everything, but I'll just tell you whether it was a chromosome issue or not. I know in the last video I said that I won't be doing any more updates, but it felt like the story wasn't finished, and I felt like a lot of the time we sort of don't actually show how like the process goes. The miscarriage was really hectic. I don't want to lie, like this, taking those pills was the worst decision I've ever made in my life. Not the worst decision, yeah, the worst decision. Up there, top 3 worst decisions I've ever made in my life was taking those pills. I should have just let my body do what it does. But I know also like many women take those pills and it works for them really amazingly, but for me it was a lot. Yeah, I feel like I'm in conclusion, you know. I feel like I'm writing a conclusion, and I don't know what my history is going to be with kids and babies and things like that. Obviously I want to know what has been causing these miscarriages, because I've always wanted a family. Like, my first dream is to be like a housewife raising my kids. That's my first dream. My second dream is to be like a kick-ass lecturer, researcher, whatever. But my first dream is to be like a home mom. So kids have always been in my periphery. I love children. I've always thought I wanted them. I stopped wanting them with the miscarriages, and I started making them something that I could live without. But this miscarriage actually reminded me how much I really wanted kids. And I don't know what the future holds. I really don't. But I'm glad that I actually did these uploads. I'm glad that I actually have put them up. I'm glad that it's out there, you know. Like, I actually feel lighter. I feel so much lighter. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of the Hey Gapster family. I really appreciate you, Gapsters. Like, you guys don't understand. I really appreciate. Even when I was going through the hardest time, like, it didn't feel not worth it, you know. It felt like, okay, you know, I can share this with somebody. It can help somebody else. It can, you know what I mean? Like, I would keep on asking myself, why are you uploading these videos? Because I actually have been putting them up, like, up to now on my YouTube channel. I've already got like 4 of these like pregnancy videos. I've probably the last 2, this video and the one where I'm actually going through the miscarriage, are the 2 videos that are not uploaded. But everything else up until, I think, yeah, is actually already uploaded on my webpage, on my channel. I just don't know when I'm gonna make it public. So you guys have been there with me, whether you knew it or not. You guys have been there, and I thank you so much for being there. Even though you didn't know you were being there, you were being there. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Gapsters. Have a wonderful rest of your week, rest of your weekend, whenever it is that you see this video. Take care, and God bless you. Bye, Gapsters.